Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about one of the most famous herbal drinks out there, Yerba mate. Now, before we begin, I highly recommend you check out our back catalog of episodes, and I'll make sure that I put some that are applicable and germane to this one, especially our playlist on our guide to tisanes, because theoretically, yerba mate is affectionately called just mate, simply mate, is a tisane. It's a non-Camellia sinensis drink. So Camellia sinensis, of course, is the tea plant. So anything that does not come from that plant really shouldn't be called a tea. It should be called a tisane. And really it shouldn't be called an herb or an herbal, because a lot of tisanes come from roots like ginger, or they come from a flower and so forth. But either way, mate is very popular. So mate is a unique herb in that it's caffeinated. It does have caffeine. That is what makes it unique, because typically when you think of tisanes, aka herbals, we typically think of them as being non-caffeinated, because the large majority are. I mean, there are going to be exceptions, because you can essentially infuse or steep anything you grab from nature. But in terms of very famous ones, chamomile, peppermint, cinnamon, and the list goes on and on. None of these have caffeine, but mate does. So mate comes from a shrub called the Ilex peregrinaense. And it's grown mostly, as the name would suggest, in Paraguay, Argentina, and Brazil. Today, the biggest exporter of this would be Brazil. Brazil makes 50% of the mate. And mate is historically been drank from a gourd. A gourd is like a metal ball, and you put a straw called a bombilla in it, and the straw has a filter. So when you put in the leaves, it doesn't, you don't suck them up. So you drink it out of this straw. Mate was historically drunk by the Guarani Indians. And so when the conquistadors came, the Spanish settlers came, they actually created plantations to export this stuff out. As a whole, I would say mate didn't really become popular outside of South America until recently. This is still a very South American drink. And we might sell a mate. Like, if I was going to sell a mate, I wouldn't sell a mate straight. I'd sell like a mate chai. That way you can mimic some of the tastes that are more familiar with a masala chai. But I would say in general, it's a decent tasting drink. I think some of the mistakes that people make with mate is A, they don't know it's got caffeine. B, you think, okay, it's an herb, so I'm going to do full boil like we typically do with herbs or tisanes. But with mate, it is sensitive to temperature. So you would steep it like you would steep a green tea. I would tell you about 170 degrees. If you steep mate, and this is my mate chai here, too high, it gets bitter like green tea does. So if you do ever drink mate, I would tell you historically, especially if you go to South America, you should definitely drink it, because that is a drink that is endogenous, kind of wired in the Argentine, Southern Brazilian, and Paraguay world. Drink it from the gourd, drink it from the bombilla. And normally the traditional way to drink mate is not going to be using like a cup with an infuser, and you put the leaves in and then you steep it 3 minutes or whatever. Normally what they do is you fill it up about 3/4 of the way with the leaves of the shrub, of the plant, and then you tip it sideways. And so half of the gourd is going to be empty. And then you pour water on the empty side and fill it up. And then you let it steep for like 3 minutes. And then you get your bombilla, or you get a spoon, and you scoop everything to one side. It's all kind of mushy now. You scoop it all to one side, and then you put your bombilla in there, and you start drinking it. And every time you drink it and you empty out the bombilla, or empty out the gourd, I should say, you put in more hot water, and you just keep doing that until you get no infusions out of it. Traditionally also too, it's interesting, because with mate, you drink it communally with a group, and you all share the gourd, and you pass it clockwise around. And it's funny, you're not supposed to thank the person for the mate until everybody's done. If you do thank somebody before it's done, it's considered gauche. So it's typically a communal drink, and you all drink from the same gourd. So if you're a germaphobe or something like that, then you probably shouldn't drink mate the traditional way. If you ever go down to South America, or you're hanging out wherever you are in America with some Brazilians, just drink it the old way. Just put it in a mug, get your serving, and drink it. You can drink mate cold, like a cold brew. They call that tereré. And you can either do it the traditional way, which is putting it in a gourd or bombilla, or you can steep it. I would definitely go to the episode that we did on cold brewing your teas and tisanes. And if you do plan to drink this, because down there, I mean, they'll drink it cold and sweetened. You'll even find carbonated versions of mate. They drink mate in every which way or form. But if you're gonna do it at home, what I would recommend is don't boil it, like I mentioned on the video, on the guide to how to brew your tea. So if you want it cold, which I think it tastes really good cold, just put it in a tea bag overnight. Don't boil the mate, just leave it overnight in a bag for 6 hours in a glass container or whatever, and then drink it cold that way. Or you can drink it hot, like I mentioned. I think the taste is kind of similar to me, it's like a green tea, kind of a mellow green tea taste, and just has a kind of a light taste. I, like I mentioned, prefer it as a blend with something else, but that's just me. And we might sell it at Green Tea House at the store if enough people come in to ask for it. I mean, we like to sell like the more Asian classic teas and herbals, but hey, if enough people come in wanting like, where's mate, do you sell mate? Maybe we will sell mate, but likely if we do sell it, it's gonna be like a blend like a chai, because I think it's more approachable to people who've never had it before. Guys, in closing, mate has caffeine. Steep it around 160 to 170 and enjoy it. Until next time, take care and God bless. Post in the comments, by the way.